Hi, everyone. I am Marie David, and I would like to welcome you all to the Black Women in Media 5th Conference and Awards. And I have an amazing guest with me today. Oh my God, she does so much that I had to write it all down. She is a mom, she's a wife, she's a philanthropist, she's an author. She is the founder of Black in the World. She's also the head of diversity and inclusion. Please, 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 please give it up for Carol Fraser Hainsworth.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. This is so exciting, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. You're also
Oh my God, this is amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of. I know you do a lot, but you made time for us today to pour into us today. So I thank you so much for that. How are you though? How are you feeling?
I'm from Honduras. So the fact that the last couple of days we've been dealing with two hurricanes and then on top of the pandemic and everything, that had me a little down. But I have to say that I'm an optimist at heart. So I stay encouraged. And I know that for us, we are not afraid of challenges. For us, they're not challenges, they're opportunities as a people. So I'm excited of what's ahead for all of us because I think that all of that there are bright days ahead for truly for everyone. And I think that there's a time of like almost redemption for people of color in the next
Yes.
couple of years, and I'm all ready for it.
Amen to that. Our theme for Black women in media is pivot. Pivot. So I want to know, especially with everything that's been going on right now, how have you been able to pivot with everything that you do?
Yeah, so I've actually tried, like many, have tried to use this time to be very intentional in the use of my time, not
Yeah.
only in the house, like looking at things that I hadn't really dealt with before because I was caught up in the routine of going back and in and out of the office. But also I've looked at my skills, I've looked at my passions, my interests, and I've kind of looked through those and assessed, am I really being intentional in how I'm using my time and where I'm placing my energy?
Yeah.
And so I feel like to some degree, I have been proud of how I've used this time to pivot
Mm.
because it's not necessarily to do something different, but it's to do things better and also to be more careful about what needs to be cared for. I feel that sometimes when you're running around, it's so easy to oversee things that are important. So I have been trying to make good use of this time.
I love that. And being a mom, and having, are you working from home?
Yes. So
Oh.
I work from home. The agency with that where I lead diversity, equity, and inclusion, Carmichael Lynch, is headquartered out of Minneapolis. So
Mm.
I'm actually now full time, even post the pandemic. I will be working from home. So this is it for me. I do. It's. I'm not going to say it's easy for us moms with this virtual learning. It's not easy trying to manage my daughter's virtual learning with this in terms of my career. But you know what? I really do believe that women, we were made for this. We are. There is nothing that can come our way that we don't have a way of grabbing it and sending it out better. So I look at it as truly an opportunity to see how I can be a better mother to my daughter and spend more time with her. And like I said, how I could be more intentional in my career and be more supportive of my husband now that we're in the same space a lot more than we were before when we had to go into the office. So yeah, so that's essentially that's how I'm, it's not how it's going, it's how we're making it go for ourselves.
Yes. And I would have to say, like self-care right now is so important. Putting yourself first. I think we're all realizing during these times right now how we're top priority. We have to make sure
Yes.
that we're good so that we'll be able to manage, our new way of life right now at this moment. So I want to know, what does self-care look like for you? What do you do to
Yes.
unwind and have your me time?
Yes. So I work out and I always have, but I noticed now that that time means so much more to me in
Mm.
the morning, whether it's a morning walk or a run or an actual trip to the gym now that it's open. But I believe what I've been trying to exercise most now is mental health
Mm.
because with everything that's going on, I think often I feel very challenged to have like higher thought, especially it's on particular days. So what I do is I try to make sure that I don't undermine how much I also have to manage that.
Yes.
So I love tea. So I make sure that I start off my morning with my favorite tea, which is chai. And
Mm.
yeah, and I have certain friends that I love to talk to because they make me laugh no matter what day of the week it is or what time. So I try to make sure that we talk so that we get that connection that is so necessary. So I'm trying to balance the importance of physical health with the critical importance of mental health these days.
Mental health. That's so, so, so important. Now, I want to kind of go into what it is that you do. I know earlier you mentioned that you're the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So for those watching right now, please kind of tell us what is that all about? What does it entail?
Yeah, so I feel tremendously blessed, like all the other people out there leading this great work, because well there's several parts to it. I have the pleasure to work on the business side as well as the workplace. So I love to see how my role is where we ideate how we bring other people to the table that otherwise may have not been there.
Mm.
So I look at it as the opportunity to not only connect, to almost be the bridge between our employees and our senior lead. I'm on the senior leadership team, but see how I can help employees advance in their careers and be a bridge between them and our senior leadership team. I also, that is on the workplace side, and whether it's celebrating cultural moments, which is important, but the most important thing, at least for me right now, is this notion of corporate social justice, which
Yeah.
is making sure that we are being vigilant of equal pay and equal opportunity within the organizations. And that is not a commitment of mine because of my role. That is a personal commitment. If you were to look throughout my entire career, I have always been a person who has been an advocate of people. So the fact that I have an opportunity to do that via my work, I think it's something that I could not put into words how much that means to me. And then also on the business side, I am a businesswoman. I have a marketing background, and so I know audiences very well. So the fact that I can help brands go out there and create advertising that is mindful of our cultures, that means everything to me.
Yes.
Because it's not, I don't have to ever worry while I'm in the room. You don't have to worry about us being misrepresented, because for me, it is something that is so important that we speak to the strengths of our communities and to the true contributions of our communities. So the combination of both of those is literally my oxygen aside of my family, because I know, especially in the environment that we are today, that the work that we are doing is the new civil rights movement of
Mm.
this country, because we are changing by means of where people work and the communities in which they live. We are advancing how people live. We are ensuring that people have the right opportunities, that they are paid equitably so that they could provide the opportunities that our children deserve. Because, and I sorry that I talk so passionately about this, but I believe that when there is an equal pay, there is an equal opportunity for our families, and that is what I work tirelessly for, because I want every child in this country to have the same opportunities. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we look at what's happening at the workplace.
Carol, this is absolutely amazing what it is that you do. And you know what I love from just this moment with just you explaining, you can see the passion, you can see that this is something that you truly love to do. And in addition, that you're making sure that we're represented in these rooms and that you're speaking, you're using your platform to help make a difference in our communities. And for that, I mean, that is amazing, amazing. So thank you so much, Carol. I wanted to kind of talk about like what are some of the expectations from your stakeholders, especially during tragic moments.
Yeah, I think we have to lead with empathy and we have to lead with courage, because it's never a comfortable conversation for anyone.
Yes.
So, but it's our role that the conversation is had, and that the what comes out of those dialogues actually advances the situation. So I think what I would say I do every day is that I challenge our executives and our employees to be not only willing to have those conversations, but to make sure that every opportunity we have, we are writing a chapter that is in the right side of history. Because I
Mhm.
think people underestimate the power of media, but media influences every single aspect of our existence. So, because we are a media institution that works with all of the major media outlets of this country, I think it's critical that that we understand that the advancement of equity really is that we have a lot to do with it, that we are not passive in it. So I like to make sure that we have those conversations, all the different stakeholders, and that we challenge each other to make sure that we are on the right side of history.
Beautiful. Now, what role does courage play in becoming a professional at what it is that you do?
You know, I noticed at the time of the unfortunate murder of George Floyd what role courage played. We were in the middle of a pandemic where a lot of people were trying to save their job. And I will say, and I think that anyone that does the work that I do will tell you that we became essential workers because we had an economy that was being challenged by the pandemic. People were ill, so they were also, many people, if not them, their relatives. So we had to play a role that required a lot of courage because we had to, they always say that you have to put on your mask first. We didn't have an opportunity to do that when the murder of George Floyd took place. We had to make sure that our employees were well, that we had to look at the type of practices that were happening within the organization that would to ensure that they were given the time and the space to grieve that terrible moment in this country. And we had, I say it was courageous because we were standing up and saying, this is not something that's important. This is the most important thing that's happening. And I will dare to say that the, situ- the situation happened, but I saw a lot of leaders in my space stand up and make it top in the agenda.
Mm.
See, there's a reality in business that and that's just a reality that when you're on the table, how you advocate and how you represent the situation and the challenge is what makes it, gives it a place in the table when it comes to where it is in the agenda. And I think that that took courage because we had to challenge these people to say, you know what? No, you're not only upset and sad that this happened. We are going to make a sustainable commitment to this community so that this doesn't happen again, because we're going to be a part of the solution. And yes, we're having issues with our own businesses. And I'm not saying that it took a whole lot of convincing. I have the pleasure to work under leadership and CEOs that already kind of got it. So there wasn't really a lot of selling that needed to be done. But we needed to be unapologetic and firm on the needs of our communities and to be very specific about them. And I think that that took courage. And that's why I'm so proud of the many women and men that I know in this space
Yeah.
that truly went to our CEOs and said, we need this amount of money. And we're not talking about $10,000, $20,000, not to imply that that's not money, but the kind of funds that we needed to create the type of change that we needed was a long-term investment. And it was a large investment that probably in the history of equity, it had never been put into corporate America. And I'm speaking in the entire corporate America. We had never seen them invest in that way. And the people who strategized and managed that were the equity leaders within the organizations. So I say that takes courage. But now we have to not get comfortable and have the courage to make sure that this investment continues, because this took years in the making. It's going to take years to bring it down.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because my next question is going to be, how important is it for diversity, equity, and inclusion leaders for them to be a part of this and continue it, their partnership in the communities?
Yeah, I sometimes can be very, like, I would say maybe strong in how I think, but I think that if you don't see the relationship between the community and the workplace, then
Yeah.
I think you lack an understanding as a professional, meaning the people that do this work, you lack an understanding of the professional, how those are directly connected, because people exist in their communities. And when they come into the office, they are bringing in everything that has to do with their community. They're representing their community. They're representing the values of their community. So what I mean by that is that if we are not investing in the communities in which these people live, then we're not investing in them, because there's no gap or separation between the individual and the community in which they exist. And so I think that that it is critical that we actually do everything we can to continue to bridge that gap, because the well-being of the community is the well-being of our employees.
I love that. I love that so much. It looked like we froze, right? Did we?
No.
Well, okay. So, all right, we're doing good. Yeah. So,
Yes.
I want to kind of go into, because you are an author, I want to for you to talk to us a little bit about your book. It's called Co-Author of Your Great Destiny.
Yeah, so I would say that co-author of Your Great Destiny, as I wrote it, it was almost like I poured my soul into younger people and individuals that were seeking their path, because I'm a Christian and I acknowledge God as the author of my life. And I also acknowledged the power that I had to co-author the world that I wanted to exist in. And I think that a lot of young people, or people that are seeking their path, I hear people all the time making it seem as if it's some outside source that's going to create the world that they're going to exist in. And so I spoke in many places. I've traveled all over the world for my job as well as personally. And that was a common thread that I kept finding. And I said, you know what, where I can't speak to everyone, but I can create this almost like guidebook, if you may, or exercise where you can see how it is that you have the power to actually author the life that you want to live. And you have to do that unapologetically, and kind of like, so that's essentially where co-author of Your Great Destiny came. It's an open invitation so that everyone works or at the life that they want to live.
That is amazing. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Where can we find some more information about you in terms of like what it is that you do?
Yes. So
plugins.
Yeah, so there's a couple of platforms. Through Carmichael Lynch, that's one of the platforms where I can be found through our website. But also you have my co-author of Your Great Destiny, my book, also an Instagram at Carol Fraser Hainsworth. I'm always there, and I'm always sharing what am I doing and who am I partnering with and some of the great work. And also, as you mentioned earlier, I am the founder of Black in the World. So also through Black in the World, if you go to blackintheworld.net, you will also see a lot of contact information for me. And I'm excited to stay in touch through any of these platforms with anyone that is interested in advocacy, whether it's in the workplace or in business, as well as anyone that's looking for ways to co-author a great destiny for themselves and their communities.
I absolutely love it. Carol, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to, oh my God, to chat with the Black women in media. I know our viewers can walk away with a lot of gems and more insight on what it is that you do and represent. So thank you so much. And until next time, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.